Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for hanging out with us here on Google+. My name is Ben Lyons, and I have the great privilege of interviewing the star of Prisoners today. This is, what, the third time we've hung out today? Fourth time? You got to be sick of me at this point. So well, come hang out. Jump in. We'll let Hugh Jackman meet you guys because he's sick of me. Hey, so nice to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too.
Congratulations on this movie. You know, I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
It's a tough movie, man.
Yeah,
it's a really grueling, tough film, but worth it when you get through it, huh?
It's scary. It's suspenseful. It's, in a way, I remember the feeling watching this, like watching Silence of the Lambs. That kind of, you have no idea what's going to happen. It keeps you on the edge of your seat, but with Denis Villeneuve, the director, it also becomes a movie that makes you think long after the credits roll. Ultimately, it's an unconventional thriller, but I'm very proud of it.
I haven't had a chance to tell you this yet. When I've been at home now, since I've seen the movie, I kind of like look behind doors in my house. I swear to God. I'm in the shower and I'm like, did someone come in the back door?
Well, you know what I do? I go home and I'm, of course, I don't know why it's in every movie, but it's true. And the nightly ritual of just checking kids are okay. Yeah, now I go in 3 or 4 times. Everything all right? Everything okay?
Let's go right now to Monica. Monica has been waiting to say a little hello to you, Hugh.
This is great.
So,
hi, Monica.
This is pretty cool. Hi, Monica. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I haven't had a chance to see the movie yet. Sorry.
Oh, bye, Monica. That's it? Oh, there you are. Hi, Monica.
Hi, Monica. We were just chatting before, and you were totally cool. Now Hugh Jackman shows up, and you're a mess. What's happening?
The kettle had boiled. You got to make a cup of tea.
Oh, okay. My question would be more general. What are the criteria on the basis of which you select your projects? I mean, does it depend on the director or the script? And how much of an input does your agent have?
It's a good question. It's both script and director, but I'll give you a specific example with Prisoners, in that when I read Prisoners, I knew it was a fantastic script. I could see that they were going for something that is rarely done. The idea of a movie, as I said, is like 2 in 1. It's thrilling, but it's also a drama at the same time. But I didn't sign on actually until the director came on board, Denis Villeneuve, and he's just a master. My agent is. I always take his opinion. He's helped me. He brought me this script. In the end, it's sort of my life and my choices, but I've had the same agents for 15, 20 years, and so far they've always been helpful. And a lot of people think that my agents don't want me to go on stage and do things like Peter Allen, but that's not true. They've always been supportive of that.
Kind of unusual in the film business for somebody of your stature to have the same team for that amount of time. People switch up all the time, get new energy and new ideas, but you seem to like the crew you're working with.
The greatest thing that happened to me was I found a great crew straight away. And my agent in Hollywood, Patrick Weitzel, is of course known to be one of the greats. It was very unnerving meeting him. I almost didn't go with him because he seriously looks like Brad Pitt, and I was like, man, is this like a between acting gigs kind of thing? But he's one of the few people who told me the truth right from the beginning. He gives it to me straight.
Well, I'm glad he found Prisoners for you.
Me too.
And where'd you guys shoot the movie?
We actually shot it in Atlanta. It's the movie is actually set in Pennsylvania, and we were fighting the weather a lot because if you watch this movie, there is not one bit of sunlight. And I remember day 2, we ran inside as the sun came out, and I said, "Are we seriously going inside? There's going to be no sun?" And Roger Deakins, the cinematographer, said, "Yeah, absolutely." Wow. So we were running in and out of doors like vampires.
The weather's almost its own character in this movie, and kind of adds to the mood and the suspense and everything. But when you sign up for something, you're like, maybe I should have done a movie in Hawaii. What was I thinking? But no, I'm glad you did. Let's go now to, who do we have here? We have Anna Barbara. Hi, Anna. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine.
Where are you hanging out with us from?
I'm in Bern as well.
Nice. You have a question for Mrs. Jackman here?
Yes, I do. I have to ask you about X-Men Days of Future Past because I'm really looking forward to it. And I guess we will see Wolverine in both the future and the past. So could you maybe tell us about that a bit, and how are you going to portray him because, I mean, he always looks the same, but he's at two very different stages in his life, so how you're going to portray that?
Yeah, good questions. I'm not sure if I've actually said this, so I might be getting in trouble here, but yeah, Wolverine does play in both time zones. Yeah, I'm in trouble.
Sorry.
No, I think that is known. I think that is known actually, but
I don't know.
well, it is now. So anyway, and there is, I will say there are slightly different looks, obviously, but he heals, so he doesn't change that much. But I'm really thrilled you're excited about it. I'm really excited about it. It has turned out to be fantastic. That cast was incredible. The experience being back with Bryan Singer was amazing. It was one of the happiest sets I've been on, and we had a blast with it.
It's usually in television when somebody gets to play the same character over and over. But we were counting at lunch today. What, this is the 7th time you've played him now?
7th, yeah.
Over 10, 11 years or something?
Even more, probably 14 years now.
When you do a movie like Prisoners, is it a break from Wolverine and then you get excited to put the claws back on? Or, I mean, it's kind of unprecedented for somebody to play someone that many times.
It's true, and weirdly, I'm enjoying it more than ever.
Really?
Yeah. I think the Wolverine, and by the way, if you want another little hint, by the way, at the end of Wolverine, the Wolverine is a little teaser for X-Men Days of Future Past, and it gives you a little hint of kind of where Wolverine's at when he gets reunited, so to speak. So, but I'm loving it. And
same things you loved about the character when you were first introduced, or you?
Well, there's even more interesting stuff, new stuff. There's more interesting stuff in a way to dive into, and the cast, literally the cast.
That was crazy at Comic-Con. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, right. But to be with the old cast, you know, and to have that kind of reunion was phenomenal. And then, you know, obviously with this new cast who are incredible. It was truly one of the, bit like Prisoners, one of the greatest casts I've sort of been around.
Let's go to Patrick. Patrick, where are you hanging out with us from?
Yeah, hello. Greetings from Berlin, Germany, and it's a pleasure to meet you here. And I have a question about your acting, because since acting is always giving a lot of yourself into a role, I have the question: if you ever played a role that you took something back into the real life.
You know, my character in this movie is a carpenter, and my wife wishes, because she often says the only thing handy about me is I'm close by. She wishes that I learned something. I can actually cut a really wiggly line with a bandsaw now. I'm not sure how I'll use that. But on a more serious note to that, every role in a way you learn something. The greatest thing about my job is my library is people. I've always been interested in people, about human nature, some of the bigger questions in life, and acting forces you to ask them of yourself and to really look into others as well to answer those questions. And it's honestly one of the greatest privileges. And look, in the case of Prisoners, I have to step into a world that I pray I never have to in real life, but you get to, in a way, experience it and cathartically kind of touch on all those feelings.
When you do a movie like Wolverine, there's obviously such a plethora of original source material to go back and look at in comics and whatnot. But for something like this, where does the research process begin?
Oh, there's so many. My character is a recovering alcoholic, and I wanted to know about that. I wanted to know how a trauma will hit someone who's been in recovery for 9 years. Sleep deprivation, because when kids go missing, nobody sleeps. It's almost people feel like they're failing their child if they sleep, or, you know. His father committed suicide in the home, and the real cases. The hardest bit about it was looking into that. I had some pretty unparalleled access really into that, and that was just devastating. And ultimately, I went in looking for clues and things to help me get into the mindset, and I came away with this weight on my shoulders, this responsibility I felt to be respectful to the people who are going through it every day.
Absolutely. I can only imagine. Let's see, who else do we have here? Mike's hanging out with us.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me here. Really excited for that little chat, but considering your amazing film career over the last years, where would you see yourself in 10 years from now? And actually, would you use your fame to support, let's say, social projects or minorities?
Yeah, by the way, where are you, Mike? I can see your apartment. I guess it's your apartment. But whereabouts?
We hope it's your apartment.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Zurich. I'm on the festival all day. So I'm just came home to sit in front of my computer.
Oh, fantastic. Well, mate, I don't know, mate. I to be honest, I don't know what I'm doing next year. I think one of the things I like about my job is that sense of surprise that goes on. But, the first thing that comes into my head, which terrifies me when you say 10 years, is that my daughter will be 18, which means, wow, that's over. So, but, they're gone, or they're in college or whatever. So that's the first thing that comes in my head. And I was taught by my dad that it's very important to spend your time and energy for whatever cause means something to you, volunteer work or charity stuff. I have a non-for-profit social business called Laughing Man, which is we have coffee, tea, and chocolates. And
you were bringing those around the Les Mis junket for everybody.
I'm flogging it everywhere.
It's the only reason I came today. I was hoping for some Laughing Man coffee. But
I'm sorry.
I got nothing.
But, in a way, I've always been sort of passionate about issues on global poverty and also in the environment. I am an ambassador for World Vision. I'm a patron for the Fight Cancer Foundation, a lot of different things, but trust me, whatever I do pales in comparison to what my wife does. She's tireless in her philanthropic work, really.
Was there a moment in your career where you realized that you had a certain level of fame and that you were able to then do something with it? Or, I mean, as an actor, you struggle, and then you get on and it changes things.
I remember the day when I didn't have all my paperwork when I crossed into the Canadian border and I was about to get strip searched until the guy realized I was Wolverine and I got a free pass to go through. And I was like, okay, this is awesome. If you can get through the icy customs officials, this is really great. But on a more serious note, I always wanted to help and do things on a volunteer basis. As I told you, that's the way I was brought up. But the moment people really call on you and ask you to do something, I was thrilled that, in a way, popularity or fame could have a positive effect.
Yeah, be able to open up a lot
I can't remember exactly when it was.
Yeah.
The Fight Cancer Foundation is actually my mother-in-law's charity. So I was a patron of that before I was famous at all. That was part of the deal of getting married.
Let's go to Claudia.
Thank you for letting me hanging out with you and Mr. Hugh Jackman. It's a pleasure for me. So there's my question to you, Mr. Jackman. How do you handle it? Filming is like 14 hours working a day, and you always have to keep your text in mind, and you always have to keep looking the same or looking good. So how do you handle that?
I have a really serious makeup team around me for the look, and trust me, particularly anything before noon or anything after 4 p.m. So there's a small window where they can relax. It is a job that takes a lot of discipline. A lot of people don't realize that you have to be ready. You don't know if what you're filming at 8 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning is going to be the thing that's in the can or in the film at the end of the day. So it is a bit of a marathon, and it's simple. You have to eat well. I always train in the morning. I meditate. I do all these things to keep me in a calm, sort of stable place from which I can act from. And you have to look after yourself. And then acting-wise, it's always remembering that nobody who's going to pay $10 to see the movie cares if you've had a bad night's sleep. Nobody cares if you're having an argument at home. Nobody cares what's going on in your private life. What they care about, and all they should care about, is watching a good movie. So I always try to remember that too.
I would imagine when you do a movie like Prisoners, your training regimen is completely different. Obviously, you're not putting on the huge weight like a Wolverine. It was tough to kind of not go to the gym every day after
the reality?
Yeah.
I did the Wolverine just before Prisoners, and I did X-Men Days of Future Past right after.
Right.
So I can happily tell the producers now why I was eating every 2 hours, because I could see them going, "It's another meal." Again. And I was training for 2 hours every morning. Wow. And I think they were like, you're playing a carpenter. That's it. You only have to pick up a hammer and a bandsaw.
Build the whole house with your bare hands.
Exactly.
But is the same kind of training for Wolverine now as when you started the character?
No.
Different.
Oh, gosh, I've learned so much. I was so naive at the beginning. Honestly, I literally thought it could take 3 weeks to change your body. I was like, oh, yeah. Oh, these guys, when guys used to say, oh, yeah, I've got to pump up for the role. I was like, oh, in a couple of weeks you pump up. I realize now it takes 6 months, particularly at my age. And in the case of the Wolverine, I probably started a year and a half before. And I know how to do it. I know how hard I have to train, how I have to eat. A very good friend of mine, Dwayne Johnson, he gave me the training regimen. He gave me the...
Bring it, huh? You're just... Oh,
totally.
Yeah.
By the way, let me tell you, as soon as he told me about that diet he's on and the training regimen, I realized this guy is completely nuts. So I do about half of it, and that is crazy.
That's enough.
Yeah, that's
You're
enough.
good after that. But, let's go now to, I think it's Leah? Hi, Lila.
Lila?
Hello.
Hi, Lila.
Where are you hanging out with us today from?
I'm from Hungary, but I live in Zurich.
Nice. Well, you got a question for Hugh here?
Yes, you played a lot of characters. Which one is the closest to you?
Ooh. Which one's the closest to me? Really, thankfully, none of them, because I'll be honest with you, Lila, I'm pretty boring. Seeing 2.5 hours of my life in a movie would not sell any tickets at all. So I actually choose characters probably deliberately that are very different from me. It's acting is kind of like traveling in a way. You get to experience other people's lives, and all of them are way more interesting, thank goodness. Although I'm a little narcissistic. I do also have a one-man show, which I do every now and again. That's unfortunately completely me.
I remember one of the years you were hosting the Tony Awards. During the commercial breaks, you would come out and sing to the audience there.
Yeah.
Hosts don't do that ever.
You were about 11 when I did the Tonys. So, well, here's what they told me backstage. They said, okay, I remember it very clearly the first time I hosted the Tony Awards, and it's a live telecast. They said, listen, mate, this is our first commercial. Just relax. You got 5.5 minutes. And I said, the commercial break's 5.5 minutes? They said, yeah. I said, well, what happens to the audience? I said, we've just done a big opening number. We've got the crowd, but 5.5 minutes, they can be bored out of their brain. He goes, oh, they all get up and talk to each other. And I was like, every bit of my stage instincts were like, I'm going to lose them. We're going to lose them. So I thought, I'm going out. And they were like, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to go out.
That. I remember sitting there that night like, this is amazing. It was so unexpected.
It was unexpected for everybody, I think.
How does your stage work come into play with a movie like Prisoners? How does your discipline from the theater?
Great question. Yeah. The discipline of doing a show 8 times a week, and it ultimately doesn't matter if you're doing a musical, a play, or anything. At 8 o'clock, and even more than in a film, people will go to the theatre once or twice in a year. It's an expensive ticket. It's a big night out. They're excited, and it's a big moment. And I remember that feeling every night before the theatre. No matter when, I go out and I listen to the audience, that excited chatter, because I remember it gives me a visceral memory of it. And you need to be on no matter what's going on in your day, and you only get one take at it. So if you're crying in the second act, you've got to cry in the second act. If you're laughing, if you're singing, whatever it is, you've got to hit it. And in film, you get obviously more than one take. But I notice after I've done stage that my first take on film will always be really close. And then I have room to play with it after that. Yeah. It just makes you sharp, much sharper as an actor.
Yeah, I remember seeing you in A Steady Rain with Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
And it's just the two of you guys on stage with a chair and your cops from Chicago. And that's it, just stripped down. And I thought of that while watching Prisoners, because there's a scene in the movie with you and Gyllenhaal in the car. And it's just the two of you. There's nothing else going on, and it's one of the more important scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your relationship with Jake, why he was perfect for this role, and I like he kind of layers his backstory in this a little bit with the tattoos and the.
Jake does an amazing job. He really plays. He gives you a portrait of a cop who, by the nature of that role, he's in charge of a lot of the exposition, a lot of the storytelling, the whodunit of it. But you get a sense of his background, of his own emotions that he's trying to push down, because for a cop, you've got to be calm and use your brain. And working with Jake was phenomenal. I know he's a movie star, but actually I think he's an artist. I think he's a character actor in this sort of body and image of a movie star, in a similar way to Paul Newman, I think. And I think he'll have a very long career. His choices are becoming very, very interesting and surprising. he rehearses and researches like crazy, and then on the day he has that rare ability to just let it all go.
Yeah, he just did some stage work in New York for the first time, and I know that really helped him as an actor, and he credits a lot of his new success or whatever to that time. We have some more time with Hugh here. He's got to keep it moving, huh? We have a few. So there was a woman today in the press conference who seemed to know your entire future. She prognosticated the next 5 movies you were going to do beyond X-Men, First Class, and then the next one,
She actually
Days of
came up
Future
and
Past.
she gave me something after, and I was sure it was going to be a script. I thought, she's asking me so many things. She's trying to find a window in my schedule.
But you are going to take some time off, some much needed time off. Do you feel like you've just kind of hit a wall as an actor, or you need to?
No, I got to admit, I'm loving it. I'm loving acting, but it's one of those things how the things coming my way and the choices coming my way are really exciting, but I'm also aware that I've worked a little too hard in comparison to my family time of late, and it's constantly a battle. And this is not, people think, oh, this is a problem for people in showbiz, but we all know that's not true. It's a problem for everyone. And all these time-saving devices we have, they seem to unfortunately take up more time than anything. So, I just need to spend a little bit of time at home.
Well, you're going to be busy this fall, because I remember last year with Les Mis, that award season is a grind. It's almost its own other business or job in a way. Right. Now that you kind of have done that with Les Mis, and you have a movie like Prisoners, it's getting early kind of talks for things, are you a little bit more aware of what's expected from you and that sort of...
Mate, honestly, I assume nothing's going to happen. I mean, in this business, I think it's the best way to be, and for me, the only way to be. And honestly, and I mean this, and I'm not just being glib, the movie, the fact that it's being well received and people are understanding the ambition of it and what it has to say, and also people are going to see it, is thrilling for me. It's a miracle, and trust me, I've been in enough duds just to appreciate that. This is all good.
Well, it's got to be nice too to be at this part of the world, and it's an American story, like you said, takes place in Pennsylvania, shoot it in Atlanta, and then here we are in Zurich, and you were just in Berlin and Spain, and so what's it like to be able to share this American story with an international audience?
Well, I suppose being Australian, I'm always drawn to the universal in stories. And there couldn't be anything more universal, really, than a story about parents when their children go missing. It's something that everybody understands. Yeah. Actually, I don't care where you're from. I don't even care if you're a parent. Everybody kind of gets it. Yeah. And I just want to say thank you to all the people who signed on, who went to their computers and signed in for the chat. But it really does mean a lot to me as a film actor. Most of our job is done in a closed room where we only get to, hang out with our crew and our other actors. So it's really nice to actually meet people all around the world and on the internet. So thanks.
And people can follow you on Twitter. It's you doing all the tweeting and stuff. What's the handle? The @real Hugh Jackman or something? Yeah, you seem to really enjoy it. You have fun with it.
I quite enjoy it. I'll admit, when I started, I was a bit reluctant, it was like a one-night stand that I was like, I don't know if I'm committed to this, and all of a sudden I realized I'm committed, and now I quite enjoy it. I enjoy the back and forth of it, and it's kind of fun just sharing little things that come into my head.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you sharing with us today, and everyone, if you haven't had a chance to see Prisoners, I highly recommend it. It's been a lot of fun hanging out with you today. So
good on you, Ben.
Nice
Good job,
to see you, man. And
Thank you.
We'll see you next time right here on Google+. Peace.
Peace.
All right, there we go, man. Thanks, dude.